Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dear Abby. I'm your host. My name is Abby, and I am your host. It's really hot in my apartment. I'm sweating bullets, and I feel tired. Welcome back to my non-professional podcast. I'm very excited to record today because it's been a week. I feel like this week has been 3 months in 1 week. I don't know if my medication for my bipolar disorder is not working or something. It has been working. Like, I actually haven't had like a manic episode or a depressive episode to that extent that I used to for a long time now, a couple months, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know. It's been a weird week. I feel like something happened this week mentally up there. Something wasn't... Maybe I feel alive again and I don't remember what that feels like. Sometimes you just don't know when you've been on a long mental journey where you feel like, okay, wait, am I okay and I'm just faking it now? Or like, is this what life is supposed to be? I don't really remember what it was like before. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, this week has been good and bad. I've been feeling really insecure this week with a bunch of random stuff. Like physically, I've been feeling really insecure, like with my body, with my stuff, with my like lack of discipline in the gym. I think I have a small hernia, which is why I haven't been as consistent in the gym, because it just, I don't know, it freaks me out. And then I feel like I have to like hold it. And it just feels dull over there. And so it doesn't feel comfortable to do any workouts that I'm really using my core a ton. So I'm trying to figure that out and trying to find a doctor still. Haven't done that yet because just no one around me has gone to a general physician. And I just have a little bit of trust issues because most of the time you go and, you know, no hate on them, I guess, but like they don't really help. I've never gone to a general physician and they like actually are very helpful, where they like spend more than 20 seconds with you and they ask specifics and then they actually help you. I feel like I've never had a really good experience. It's always just been like, oh, this is the doctor. You basically go there, they prescribe you whatever is the top of the list, and then you're done. But I feel like it'd be nice to go to someone that really cares about like trying to get me better, and it feels like they care because it's not so quick. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Like I used to think that was too much to ask, but now I'm like, no, it's not. If someone cares about what they do, they want to help. They want to ask the questions, and I understand that it's busy, but also, come on. That being said, been really insecure because I've just felt like, I don't know. It's a long story, but yeah, see, now it's all, now when I'm talking about it, all the feelings are coming back, just being ashamed of your body, or just being kind of like, or just wishing that you looked like somebody else or something else that you see online, which is tale as old as time. But man, it is so hard not to compare your body to other women. It's so hard. And I don't do it all the time. Like it's catching me off guard because I feel like I'm normally pretty confident and I can kind of snap myself out of it. But maybe it's because it's that time of the month, so it's hitting me extra hard. But yeah, hormones will get you because it's just a woman's cycle. You feel good, feel bad, feel confused, feel happy, feel really happy, feel sad, feel really sad. Also, a common symptom of anxiety for me has always been irritability. I get so annoyed with people, like so annoyed, and with myself. It's not an attack on anyone. I genuinely get so frustrated with myself, with other people, And I don't ever voice this, by the way. A lot of these things that go on in my head, especially when I'm annoyed, is just all an internal experience, and I never express it unless it's actually like crossing a boundary annoying. But if it's just things that make me want to scream and punch something, I keep that to myself until I get home, you know? But when people over explain stuff to me, for some reason that drives me nuts. It's like, don't give me too much information. My brain is I'm already kind of like overwhelmed with stuff trying to analyze. So if you give me too much information, like if you're telling me to do something and you give me way too much information, I will just be annoyed. Like, that's just the feeling that comes up is annoyed. I'm annoyed. Annoyed. I know. Trust me. I don't like to feel annoyed, but I do sometimes. So sue me. Yeah, I don't ever express anything because I know it's just I'm annoyed and that's all it is. But it is kind of annoying when people over explain stuff. And I'm talking when it could have been really simply stated, but they over explain. And before anyone says anything, I'm very much aware of how hypocritical, because I'm sure a lot of the things that I say could be summed up in one sentence, but I like to go into every tiny little aspect of it. But on some days, for me, I hate when people do that to me. And I kind of hate when I do it to myself. So, you know, we're all the same. We're all thinking the same things. So this episode, we're doing a couple life updates, stuff like that. And then I wanted to talk about not lying to yourself and being honest with yourself. And then we're going to do a Dear Abby, and then we're going to end the episode. So life updates. Number one, been feeling very annoyed lately. And with anxiety, a lot of the times people can feel very irritable. And I think it happens when you feel already overwhelmed mentally or emotionally, mostly mentally, and you're already having all of this data that's going through your mind. And then when someone over explains something, or when someone is giving you too much information or too much like extra stuff, that can be physically, emotionally, mentally, it's like we can't process anymore. So we're instantly overwhelmed with that extra information, and then we get annoyed. So let's say we're already feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or people hate overstimulated because, yeah, I don't know, but I get it, I guess. But sometimes people do for overstimulated. It's a word for a reason. And I'll be feeling overstimulated, and then someone will be like, let's say you're feeling overstimulated with sounds, okay? Then someone sits by you and starts chewing, and you can hear their spit and everything. And if you don't enjoy that sound, that's like, that pushes you over the edge. That pushing over the edge, in my opinion, that's being annoyed. That little oomph is being annoyed. Now, not their fault, not your fault. Life just sometimes gets you. I think I just wiped a bunch of makeup on my nose. So if I have black on my nose now, it's because I wiped my makeup on it, I think. I could get up and look in the mirror, but I'm kind of too lazy to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Let's talk about if you're mentally overwhelmed. So let's say mentally you're reviewing all of these things, or you're already analyzing a bunch of stuff from the day, and you're trying to process things, and you feel overwhelmed with the mental load. And then somebody's telling you to do something, but they add like 500 extra random stuff about the task that you do not need to perform the task correctly. That stuff drives me nuts. That for me is like when I get annoyed. I'm just like, I can't handle any, don't give me any more information than I need. Just tell me what I need to do it correctly, and then just let me do it. Don't give me the extra stuff, because then that extra oomph, then I'm annoyed. Oop, you swung the door open, now I'm annoyed. Your fault. Just kidding. But anyways, just been noticing that a lot. Very normal to get annoyed with stuff. It's a universal experience. I don't ever express it externally. It's all internal, but when I get home, I have to turn off everything and lay in a dark room and just like cry, or just feel it and acknowledge it, and then it eventually subsides and I feel a little bit better the next day. But sometimes it does build up. I don't know if there's really a way to fix that. I think it's inevitable that you feel annoyed every once in a while, because you can't always be not overwhelmed. I think you can put in precautionary measures of not getting to that point. Another update from this week is I am kind of done with therapy again. And let me explain. I think this is very common, and I hear this is very common for people who have experienced just a lot of doctor's appointments, therapy, all of this different type of stuff to help yourself, which is great. But I have felt that I've gotten to a point where I've felt like I've done so much in therapy, and I've done all different types of exposures. Like, I don't really feel that distressed or anxious like as much as I used to, and I can pretty much do 99.99% of things that I wasn't able to do when I was debilitated by my OCD. So now, I'm not saying there's not hidden compulsions in there. I'm not saying I'm healed. I'm not saying I'm done forever. But sometimes when I keep doing exposures and I only do exposures, I'm like, I'm stuck in my recovery. Like, I'm stuck in moving forward. And so I'm kind of sick of exposures. Like, I still do them, but I just feel like that's not what I need right now. And so with therapy, I kind of want to see and talk to my therapist to see if we can maybe do ACT, or, you know, if she's trained in other types of therapy, just because I just feel like I've done all I can in ERP right now. And I just need other things. Like, I genuinely believe for me, that's not enough. I think because it's been 26 years of having it, like, I need extra stuff. Like, I don't know, IFS, internal family systems, or ACT, or I like to read books too. So I've been reading 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. That's a really, really good book. But I think it's really good to have just a lot of perspective shifts, which I've been trying to do. But therapy is also just really expensive. And I don't know if I'm getting that much out of it anymore because I've been taught everything, I feel like. And maybe that's ignorant to say, but I just feel like I've hit this point, and I internally just feel like I should just stop. It's time for me to shift something with my therapy and to kind of take the next step, I guess, or go to a different layer. And it could just be a break. Like, I took a break before for a couple of months, which was really, really nice. And I think last time my understanding of recovery or feeling better was very black and white, all or nothing. Like, either I'm just as bad as I was at the beginning, or I'm supposed to be healed. So that's supposed to look like I don't have any problems, no more intrusive thoughts, no more distress, no more anxiety, no more fear. It's like I had a very black and white way of thinking about graduating therapy. I don't know. And it's been like 3 years now of therapy almost every other week. So it's been a long time. And it's been a big commitment financially as well. So, because my insurance doesn't cover all of it. Yeah, after a couple of years, I'm pretty exhausted by it. And I just want to live my life and just remember to do all of my OCD recovery tools, but use different therapies along with ERP, and just see how I do by myself. I feel like I trust myself a lot more than I did at the beginning of recovery. And it's been 3 years again. So I feel like, okay, maybe I should try this by myself and just stick with it. Keep reading books every once in a while, or keep listening to podcasts, and just to stay up to, just to keep myself accountable. And I have people in my life who can keep me accountable. So yeah, I think my understanding this time around of trying to lean off of therapy is not black and white. It's really just, I have OCD. I don't think it will ever go away the way that I think it's going to. I will always have to do maintenance on it and always have to keep it in check. Maybe for the rest of my life, probably for the rest of my life. Probably for the rest of my life. And I've made peace with that finally. And I'm okay with struggling with that. And I think that helps me let go of this very rigid way of thinking about it. I know I'll struggle with it. For me, it's more empowering to acknowledge and accept that it's going to be up and down, rather than like it has to go this way to recover, and I have to feel perfect and I have to feel happy all the time. And outside of OCD is only happiness. Yeah, I just had a skewed version of what life outside of OCD looks like. And now I feel more equipped and more rational and realistic with what recovery looks like, I think outside of therapy especially. So I'll keep you posted. I'm really excited. I feel good about it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is stupid, but I don't know. We'll see. So there's been a couple dubs and L's. I've kind of gone over both dubs and L's, but a real L for this week is something something that has been running in my mind day in and day out, 24/7, just on replay over and over and over and over again. And that is my boyfriend, my sweet little dumb little boyfriend, my stupid little dumb little boyfriend, when we were leaving church, of all places, church, I was looking cute and snatched. We were walking to his car, and his stupid little nice car that has 500 attachments to it. Why do you need so many attachments on a car? He literally has a snorkel on his car. For what? His car's gonna go scuba diving. Oh yeah, it's kind of cute that it looks like a cute little car with scuba gear on. Yeah, it's kind of cute, okay? I kind of like his car. Shut it. He opens the door and he says, "Get that big old..." It's not good. It's not a good big old. He said, "Get that big old..." I can't say it. No, I actually can't say it. I'm going to cry. He said, "Get that big old belly in there." Let me break it down one more time. To his girlfriend, "Get that big ol, O-L-E, I think, or O-L apostrophe, belly in there," with a gesture of hop in the car, sweet thing. I stood there flabbergasted that my boyfriend just told me to get my big old belly in his car. Now, I have purposefully left out one piece of information. I'm not pregnant. I was walking weird, and I was doing a little bit of a Grinch walk. Okay? So yes, that was an important piece of the puzzle of why he said that. But here's the thing. It was still hurtful, because don't point it out. Just don't point it out that when I walk a certain way that my belly's just sticking out. You can say it, just don't point it out like that. So he was feeling really confident that day, I think. Granted, we were having a good day together. We don't always get along. I'm kidding. But you know what it's like when you're in a long-term relationship and you have a good relationship. You can joke around, you can tease each other, you can be sweet one day and like annoyed and kind of fighting, but like for flirt fighting. It was kind of like a fun, flirty day that we were having. Like we were making each other laugh. And I think it's just one of those things where he got a little bit too comfortable and a little bit too excited with how much we were joking around with each other. And then he just here's the line, he just stepped over the line with it. And that was like, okay, now we're not having fun anymore. We were having fun, joking around, having a good time, being all buddy. Told me I had a big old belly and to get in his car. Jokes over. We're not having fun anymore. I'm serious the rest of the day, and I will be thinking about how my body looks for the rest of the week. And full circle, that's probably why I have been thinking of my body so much. So sure, was it a comment because I was purposely kind of looking a little bit silly and poking my belly out? Yes. But did it also make me spiral a little? Because then I became very self-conscious about, well, what does my belly look like? Well, what is my body? What is he perceiving me as? Does he see other people and he's perceiving them a certain way? Great. And the end. That was the story. It was devastating, and he will pay for it with comments about his body. I'm just kidding. That's so mean. I would never do that, but it was funny. Revenge isn't the answer, but if he's joking around, I could joke around too, huh? This town ain't big enough for the two of us. One of us has got to get out of here. Next up on today's agenda. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, and now I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders because, I don't know, let me know if I'm in a horrible relationship with a horrible person. I'm just kidding, by the way, if you can't tell. I mean, he did say that, but he was joking. It was a funny situation. Like I said, I've been reading 12 Rules to Live By, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. I don't remember exactly what the title of the book is. I have been reading it, though. I'm not lying about reading that book. My dad read it a long time ago, and I don't know if Jordan Peterson, some people think he's very controversial. I just think he's good at what he does. He's a psychologist. He studied it. He knows so much information. I think he's a brilliant man. So I like to listen to his stuff. And I've never read this book before, but I kind of needed some, like I said, I've been kind of done with ERP in the sense of I don't think I'm progressing past a certain point with ERP. I need something else. So I've just been looking to books and different types of things, as well as like leaning on God and stuff like that. But sometimes I feel I need to actually do some actionable things and learn and educate myself. So started reading the book. And I'm a couple chapters in. I think I'm on rule 5 or 6. But while I was ironically working out, I was listening and he started talking about how you need to be honest with yourself and how you need to get to know yourself and how it's very, ignorant to think that you know yourself to the full capacity already. And that most people don't actually really know themselves. They just know how they've been. But there's so much more to us and inside of us. And I think we have so much potential, which is why I really like him, because he talks a lot about there's so much potential, which I've felt and I believe, but it does take a lot of work to kind of unlock that potential and really start to thrive and feel like a new person and to really be disciplined and stuff like that. I think in my life experience, there are certain things that I know internally will make me probably happier. And there's certain parts of me that I haven't really explored yet. So I feel like I've been always drawn to therapy or anything that teaches, you have multiple parts to you. Like I think it's internal family systems where you have the protector, you have the critic, you have the wise self, you have all of these different parts of you, and they kind of argue, and some of them take the spotlight sometimes, some of them kind of take the backseat and other times. And that feels I relate to that very much because I do feel like I have a bunch of different types of thinking in my brain. And that's kind of how it feels like sometimes. It's easy for me to go through life and just think that I'm just little anxiety girl, or that I'm just someone who has OCD, or that I've always been anxious and I've always kind of victimized myself. And so that's just who I am. And I really believed that. And sometimes I catch myself kind of falling back into that. But the times that I really committed to not being that anymore, and by that I mean victimizing myself, making myself a victim always, only seeing myself through the lens of anxiety and only seeing myself through the lens of OCD, like that's all I am, that's all I have to offer this world, is that I'm mentally ill. And I don't really let myself break free kind of those chains or those metaphorical chains. But when I am able to actually hold myself accountable and kind of get to know maybe other parts of me and start to listen to maybe other parts of me that kind of want to do this instead, and just start to discover myself and start to really learn what I actually really like, because it's so hard at the beginning of your life. And then when you get in your 20s, you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, wait, do I even like what I'm doing? And then by like, I mean, is this actually fulfilling to me? And like, is this why I'm living? And is this fulfilling to me? Am I just going through the motions because everyone in society is telling me to do a certain thing? I just think that getting to know yourself obviously is so important. It's like the most fascinating, wonderful, complex part of life. Not to flatter ourselves, but kind of like I think we were created very intentionally. It's just my belief. And so I think it's a joy to get to discover yourself and discover life. And we all have like that piece of divine in us, or that light, or however you want to call it. And some people who have religious trauma, or if they have just some issues with maybe spirituality or religion based on bad experiences with that stuff, just want to say I understand that when you hear stuff like this, it can be very triggering. And I've felt that before with, when I had religious OCD, I didn't want to go to church. I felt sick every time I'd hear anything about my church. I didn't want to go into the chapel. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience every time. Like all of my bad memories came rushing back through my head with like exposure, and also really getting to know what I really believe and what I really want out of this life. I was able to kind of heal that part and really witness it so it can just subside and I can be back in control. But I just want to say that because I know it can be triggering if you've had negative experiences with anything like that. So just want to validate that is real, and that's really hard. And I know it can kind of get in the way when you're trying to work on yourself, or you're trying to maybe come to God or come to faith or come to spirituality or something. Just know you are very loved. But anyways, like I was saying, it's especially important because we have so much noise and we have so many opinions about what we should do with our lives. And I do think when you're relying on society or TikTok or Instagram or YouTubers or celebrities or even people like philosophers that write books, if you rely on their opinion and what they think about life more than what you actually deep down think, I just think that's not a fun place to be. And it can be very damaging to like your trust that you have with yourself and the relationship you have with yourself, which is like you're with yourself all the time. So it's a good thing to work on that relationship. I think for me, when I avoid myself, my life feels horrible and I feel so frustrated. I feel irritable. I feel overwhelmed. I feel sad and depressed. I feel so anxious and so like not grounded. But when I purposefully kind of turn everything off and I meditate, or I just lay there, sometimes not doing anything or journaling or doing something that helps me be present with myself to show that I'm enough and that I can handle that whatever feelings are coming up, whatever trigger is happening. And I feel like through those small practices of just turning everything off every once in a while, you can really start to live a more meaningful life. And it starts to be more so what you think is meaningful and what you actually find meaningful versus what you think, you know, this Instagrammer says is meaningful. I'm not saying that they can never be right, because obviously not everyone's doing everything wrong or bad, but everyone is so different, and you deserve to know what feels fulfilling to you, and you deserve to feel fulfilled and joy and peace and happiness in this life. And I don't think I've ever found that through hyper fixating on what society tells me to, which is, again, celebrities, Instagrammers, pop culture, people that were shown as like idols and like they, know everything. They're perfect. I think we can admire people's art, and I think we can really see people for what they are. And I think that's beautiful, but I do think that it's harmful when you start to make other people more important than you, and other people's wishes and what their heart says and what they believe over what you really believe and what you really want to prioritize in your life, I guess, because we're all different. I think especially with mental illness, when you ignore yourself and when you just feel so much shame and so much dread towards yourself, it makes it so miserable to live with yourself. And it makes it worse. And it definitely adds to the shame when you never spend time showing yourself that you are important. Obviously, your brain learns from like the actions that you do. I think that's what ERP is. But so if you're always making yourself feel bad, if you're always beating yourself up in your head, if you're never taking care of like the things around you, or you're never combing your hair, and like it can be the small things, and it can be having good hygiene, all of that stuff that's hard to do when you're feeling really, really low. You have to show yourself that you care about yourself. That's like what snowballs into my life becoming and be blossoming into something beautiful, is when I start to show myself that I care about myself and that my opinion matters, that my voice matters to myself. And I start to listen to other sides of me that I usually push down because I'm ashamed, or I'm like, oh no, that's too much feelings, that's too sensitive, or like that's too hard, or that's uncomfortable. That's my life just gets better when I start to do that. So in the book, I think he talks about, you can ask yourself like out loud or in your head, like kind of unironically, but ironically, hey, I know I haven't listened to you, like wise self, but what should I do, or what's something that I'm doing that's making myself miserable? You know, or ask some question, and usually something will pop up. And if it's not like an immediate pop up, it's like you can kind of start to figure what maybe you can do. I feel like we all kind of have that voice that we can listen to, but we have to be, you have to be kind of humble to listen to it. And you have to also be willing to like want to make a change in your life. So if you're not willing and you don't want to, it's like, well, there's really no point. But I think that stuff's really helpful for me because I do have to give myself tough love. And because I've played victim for so long to myself, to other people, I feel like I'm very much now, I know what that's like, and it's never been helpful for me. So now I'm like on the opposite side. I mean, not opposite as in like no one's life is hard and I can't acknowledge that. I can acknowledge that, but I also think it's way more empowering to recognize that you can change your life around no matter the circumstance. Yeah, I think an actionable way is you can just ask yourself kind of and just see what pops up. What can I do better? What's something that I'm doing that's hurting myself? Or, you know, how can I improve my life? Or you can be more specific. I also love journaling, and you can ask yourself a question and then just start writing what comes to your mind. And you can word vomit or you can whatever, but I think that it's kind of starts getting the ball rolling. But then the next step, what he talks about is like you have to actually commit to doing it, and you have to take that leap and you have to actually commit and just see what happens. I think that's the part that we're going to have to learn to practice, is making those changes and is accepting that maybe there's more to us than we think, but we just have to get uncomfortable with this new part of us, or this new side to us that we're discovering. But I fully think that you should take the leap, because every time I've taken any type of leap like that, I swear my life is like, my heart expands, my mind expands, like life gets so much better, so much more full. I love myself more. Yeah, I just thought that was really cool. And I liked the way he says it because, again, I think he's like so brilliant and he's so eloquent. Like the way he explained things, I feel like it just teaches me. I just learn well from how he says things. Okay, well, that is it for that. We're going to do a Dear Abby and then we will wrap up for today. Okay, I wanted to answer a Dear Abby that I got a long time ago on Instagram. I can't find the message, but I wrote it down in my notes and I don't think I ever answered it for some reason. Basically, she was asking about with OCD, like I had mentioned, that I experienced a lot of depersonalization and derealization. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a professional, I don't know fully what it is, but it's kind of where your brain detaches a little bit, and it's like a safety defense mechanism that your brain has to, if something's really painful or if you're going through emotional turmoil or something's just really intense and your brain's like, I don't want to feel this anymore, or you kind of feel like I don't want to feel this anymore, your brain is trying to help you, and so it kind of detaches from life. And what that feels like symptom wise and what you experience is, for me, it showed up as nothing felt real. Like everything felt, if I looked at something, I almost feel like I didn't recognize it. It was really scary. And I would look at something that was like an inanimate object and it would just make me feel like, what is that? And I was scared of it, but I was also like confused. That was like really intense. But then also if I look at my hand, all of a sudden I would just feel like that's not my hand. And I would be so confused, or I would look extra long. Like my arm felt like it was going on for like a mile, or I would feel extra short. Like nothing felt real. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like you look at things that you know are familiar, but you're like, why does it not feel real? Like it doesn't feel like it normally does to look at these things. Same with people. It's like I know I would know people, but like they wouldn't feel real. I think I don't remember which one is which, but one is like you're kind of detached from yourself, and the other one's like you're detached from the world. So you're really like stuck with yourself almost. And I feel like I would go back and forth between the two a lot. Like it just felt like a combination of everything. It felt like purgatory. When I was stuck in really bad depersonalization, that was probably like the scariest thing in my life because I had like intrusive thoughts all day, urges, sensations. And then I would get depersonalization because I'd be so distressed. And then I would feel like nothing's real. And then it would just make everything worse because I didn't know how to deal with it. There's a lot of other symptoms. There's a lot of good YouTube videos that talk about this. There's a specific guy on YouTube that I'm not going to remember what his name is, but he helped me a lot with how to deal with that because it didn't last like that long every time, but I feel like it literally happened for like 2 weeks straight at a time sometimes, and then sometimes it'd be like for 2 hours a day, and then it kind of got less and less, and then sometimes it went back up to like a full week. I felt like I was detached. It kind of became something that just happened regularly for a while when I was really anxious. But anyways, this guy helped me a lot because basically what he says to do is like basically the worst thing you can do is to ruminate about it, which is trying to figure it out and like try to feel and keep checking, like, do I feel connected with life again? Do I feel connected with like my room? Do I recognize this? Does it feel like it's supposed to feel? That was a huge compulsive behavior. And also just like in regards to depersonalization and derealization, it was not helpful for your brain to feel like it can relax again. I did find that the advice of not trying to figure it out worked. So what that looked like was, so how I helped myself based on what this guy was saying and what, other people had said on YouTube and stuff was I just stopped trying to figure out if I felt the right way or if I like felt real again. And even though I know I would obviously immediately be aware that something felt off, I am in it again, like I'm stuck. And it's a horrible feeling, but I would be like, oh, this is cool. Like things feel weird. Like this is cool. Everything feels not real. I feel like I'm alone in this world and everything feels like a simulation. This is cool. And I had to change my attitude, even though I was totally faking it for months, probably like faking that I thought it was cool. I would just say it. And then eventually I just kind of got used to it. And I started to like feel less scared of it because I knew I could handle it. Because I think behind it is the fear of like, oh my gosh, what if this lasts forever? Which, sorry if this is triggering. What if this lasts forever? What if I'm stuck like this? What does this mean about me? What does this mean about my brain? Like, am I broken? Am I in psychosis? Like all of these different things. So I think that just obviously made the brain feel less safe. So the more I was able to hold myself and recognize, I can handle this feeling, because you can handle it. If you have experienced it and you're here, you've handled it, so you can. That's proven. And so I think that was a big stepping stone in feeling better and not having that happen as often. Yeah, after a while of doing that, I just started to really believe it. And I was like, oh, I still don't really think it's cool. Like, I wouldn't go that far. I still sometimes like have that attitude if it happens, but I think I just know I can handle it, so I don't get as anxious about it and, start to spiral even more. So then I feel like eventually my brain's just like, oh, like you got this, we got this. And then it just kind of releases the chains of feeling completely isolated. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't change anything about your life. It's just a defense mechanism, and it doesn't mean anything about you. Hopefully that's not reassurance. I think sometimes you just kind of need to be validated, and you need someone to acknowledge and to tell you what's going on from a scientific standpoint. Hopefully that's helpful. It's something a lot of people experience, and it's really scary. And some people have it for years. I feel like I had it for like a year and a half, maybe, on and off. It was horrible. Sometimes it happens every once in a while, but it definitely doesn't stay as long. And I'm like, so what? I lived with this for a year and a half. I can do like 2 days or maybe for the rest of my life, whatever. Get an attitude with it. Give it some attitude. Whatever it is, OCD, anxiety, depression, just give it some attitude. Be like, oh yeah, life sucks. Yeah, duh. And then get up and do whatever you need to do. I've done that before. Ooh, you're scared. Ooh, I don't care. I'm getting up anyways. Well, that's it for today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I missed you, and I'm happy that I was here because this is just the fun part of my week. I love talking to you guys. I love getting your messages and your comments. They mean so much to me. If you comment on my YouTube, it's like that makes me the happiest, luckiest girl in the world. If you want to support the podcast, please do. I would love it. And I want to keep growing this podcast and have a bigger community. So yeah, if you want to support, you can like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, leave a rating and review on Apple or Spotify. You can also answer any questions that Spotify has after the podcast is over. You can post it on your story, or you can just tell people about it. Anything is appreciated. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and you guys take yourself out and be kind to yourself and show yourself that you are important, because you are, and you need to make yourself important. No one's gonna save you but you. Feel empowered by that, you know? Go get him, tiger. Rawr. Love ya. Bye.
우회전 taking a ride to journey 눈치 보면서 들어가 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람